Hello friends, welcome to this video in which I'm going to be explaining some of the differences between a regular offlane and a dual offlane. And I'm just looking at a replay here of a game that I've played quite recently, looking at my own perspective. So dual offlaning is very similar to just regular offlaning, except typically when you run a dual offlane, you have two heroes who, for the most part, normally aren't excellent offlaners just alone. Like, they need a little bit more, some sort of synergy, some sort of reason that they can, with somebody else, apply a lot more pressure than just a regular offlane. And usually you need that synergy to be there, or you need some reason to invest the two players into doing that dual offlane. So for this one in particular, we have a Lich. So with the constant denying of the creeps, Lich is an excellent dual offlaner, and with the Lone Druid, we're able to do a lot of harass in this lane because we have the Bear to harass, we have the Lich Blast to harass, and we're both ranged heroes. So there's a good amount of synergy between these two heroes, and maybe you can't just throw any two heroes in the offlane. If there isn't that synergy, mathematically you could be possibly losing you could be losing a lot of space on the map because you're running these dual offlanes. So with that being said, you need to make sure that if you're trying to run a dual offlane, which believe me is very game winning, if you can find a dual offlane that you're very comfortable with, you can run it a lot in these pubs and you can win a lot of games doing this, because it applies usually a ton of pressure, because two heroes with good synergy is just much stronger than one single strong offlane hero for the most part. And of course they need that synergy because the experience is now being shared. With the Lich, it's a little different because you get more XP from denying the creeps. Pick strong other lanes and just make sure that because we're doing this dual offlane, you're going to be -1 person on the rest of the map. So these other lanes are totally free to do whatever they want because of this very strong dual offlane. And a regular offlaner will be able to do this for the most part, depending on the hero, but it's much more likely that with a dual offlane, you're going to be able to apply a lot more pressure because they cannot zone you at level 1 as easily, which is usually where a lot of offlaners fall behind, is in those very early levels. Of course, if you gain a snowballing lead and you gain a huge XP lead on any hero, you're going to be harder to deal with, but you kind of get past that with this dual offlane. So a couple things that I want to say about dual offlaning. You shouldn't be placing a ward to block a camp on the dual offlane, because you pretty much are guaranteed to be able to do the trick that I talk about, essentially pushing the lane out and pulling the side camp to deny massive waves of experience from the enemy team. So you don't want to block this camp, the hard camp or the easy camp, because it's very, very important that you allow yourself to do that lane pushing out technique, because with two heroes it's very easy to zone the enemy team when they try to come over and contest that pull. It's almost impossible for them to do it. So if you're running a dual offlane, if it's a strong dual offlane, there's almost no way that they can contest it, and it's essentially free waves of experience that you're denying them. And since you're splitting the XP two ways now, it's a necessity. Remember, with two people, the shrine obviously has double the value, and it costs the same thing. You know, you just right click it and it's on cooldown. So with the dual offlane, it's much more effective to use the shrine because you're guaranteed to get the utilization of two people out of this. And once again, all of the same rules apply to pressuring the carry and wasting the support's time. It's just now it's with two people, and you don't want to be blocking. You don't want to be blocking the camp, essentially. So you can see I'm cutting the wave here because the carry is just hiding, and we already have the tower because this dual offlane is so difficult for them to deal with. Even though we fed a couple of kills here and there, we still have a massive XP lead despite those kills because of the mechanics that we're using down here to win this lane, essentially. And I'll actually go ahead and look at so you can see the Weaver is actually level 4, the Venge is 5, so their carry's getting totally destroyed by this. And of course, that's, you're much more likely to win the game if their supports are doing well and their carry isn't, because the carry has to come online after the laning phase and be effective, but it's not likely that he will, because this dual offlane is so strong. So what wouldn't you want to dual offlane against? So you really wouldn't want to dual offlane against anything that's just going to do fine anyway. Some sort of hero that just doesn't really care if you dual offlane. They just want XP. They're going to get decent last hits anyway, because then you're wasting two people worth of XP. Essentially, you have somebody soaking your XP in this offlane, and the hero doesn't really care about getting those last hits and doesn't care about getting pressured. Supports are just going to run around and the rest of the map and just destroy your team because you now have this this disadvantage in the other lanes in terms of the actual number of people that you have in them. So the supports are going to destroy the other lanes if you aggro into something that doesn't need to actually be pressured. So aggroing into like a Spectre, a Weaver, pretty much any carry that currently people play, it's pretty good to apply pressure to them. But that being said, of course, pubs are totally free to pick whatever they want, so you're not just always going to have people picking the Slarks and Jugs and stuff like that, like typical carries. But like I said, it is very game-winning to do dual offlanes because for the most part, that is what people do. However, just, you know, be careful not to pick a dual offlane into something that doesn't really need to be pressured, or something that you can just pressure with one hero anyway. But most tri-lanes get very pressured by a dual offlane. Finding a good dual offlane that's easy to run and just telling people to pick it, and playing the carry, the core hero in the dual offlane is a very effective way to win a lot of pubs. I just say, hey, pick X, you know, pick whatever hero, something that just sounds good in the game, and then it's free wins. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you guys in the next video.